everyone. Welcome once again to another episode of The Body Regenerated. Look at this day. It is gorgeous, and it's nice to see the blue skies instead of just being all gray like it has been. It's actually been a little dry, but we got a little burst of rain last night, and it is beautiful out. Just beautiful. I only have one pineapple today, but it is a beauty. And some of our waterfall lilies. Today we're going to talk about carpal tunnel syndrome and treatments for that. You see, in my 30-year practice, I've done most of that in rehabilitation. It's funny, even when I worked at spas, at some of the very nicest resorts, people really wanted deeper work. They wanted to, get therapy. So I worked with a lot of people with carpal tunnel syndrome. I had not experienced it, but I treated people for it based on what, of course, the intuitive work I was doing and what I felt with them. I had been prone, I suppose, to carpal tunnel, although it wasn't only until recently that I experienced in my life. Ever since I was a young boy, I remember 8, 9 years old, I really loved to draw. I loved to draw. And I would frequently have my arm and hand go numb. And so I've been experiencing that my whole life. After having my arm forward like this for any extended period of time, it would just go completely numb and tingle. And I've experienced that my whole life. So it was difficult to do certain things. And of course, I wasn't able to race motos for a long period of time because you can't have your hand go numb. Many times when I couldn't feel my hand, I didn't know what I was doing. And even today when I ride, I have to release my hand and try to get the blood and everything flowing back through. So even though I was prone to it, I seem to have some sort of dysfunction in the brachial plexus area or something. But I never really experienced carpal tunnel, even after 30 years of deep tissue work where I'm using my elbow a lot and I'm using the hand a lot. A lot of therapists are prone to carpal tunnel, but it's only actually been in these last 6 months that I ever experienced it. But one thing I noticed with anyone with carpal tunnel was the same thing as any other dysfunction in their structural body, musculoskeletal body, which is a group of muscles, this one would be the forearm, have been abused. They're extremely tight. Maybe they've been constantly used so much that they've just reconditioned themselves, reconstructed themselves to be short, to not be able to fully utilize their range of motion because people are not exercising the range of motion. They're using, and not taking the adequate amount of time to stretch and recover. Repetitious injuries. Repetition injuries based on repetition of doing. Just like in life, people do, and not enough time to just be or to reverse that. Think, rest. We need an equal amount. So what needs to be done and what I did was, treat people for those muscles that were stiff. I mean, I had to strip the muscles, compression, stripping, trigger point, stretching. But like a lot of things, it takes time. Not necessarily like, oh, it's going to take 3 years, but it takes time out of your day to care for your body. And it's important that you do that. most of the pains and illnesses we get are our body crying out for attention. And with the forearm and with carpal tunnel, which I've experienced recently quite intensely, was something the pain was, I didn't like it. It's a numbness, it's a tingling, it's a burning. I'd be working in the garden and I couldn't tell if I was being stabbed by the needles of the plants I was working with or if it was just the carpal tunnel needles because it just felt like it was constantly being stabbed with slivers of glass and needles and it's not a fun feeling at all. So, what did I do? Well, I took my own advice. One of the best treatments I know for helping to release muscle tissue is contrast therapy, hot and cold. Hot and cold takes time. You literally have to sit down for at least a half hour and and do the therapy, which means I use moist heat. I boil water, soak a towel in hot water as hot as you can get it, wring it out. I put castor oil. Castor oil is a deep penetrating oil that seems to help soothe muscle. Castor oil on. I wrap it with a moist hot towel. And of course, the towel only stays hot for maybe 5-10 minutes. Take it off, put ice on it. The ice can stay a little longer. Take it off, moist heat, take it off, cold compress. So you could do this for an hour, but it does take time. But it's one of the best ways I know. And then after that, I usually put like a good arnica ointment on it. And I have two ointments here that I love to use. I love to use everything from Dr. Christopher. Dr. Christopher is one of the oldest natural healers around. Of course, he's not alive today, but his formulas are still used and copied by many. So I use Dr. Christopher's formulas for almost everything, but he has a complete tissue and bone ointment that I like to use. And I would rub it on my carpal area, rub it on the muscles, rub it around the joints and the areas. And I would do that after my hot and cold therapy. And then I would also use this wonderful arnica muscle easing salve. And this is from the Super Salve company out of the land of enchantment, New Mexico. And if you're in Arizona, you just head up to Flagstaff and go to Winter Sun, and you can get the Arnica Muscle Easing Salve. It's a wonderful heating ointment, and I use that as well. But then you have to stretch out those muscles too. And we're going to go over some of those stretches today. So one thing I like to do, take the thumb, put it in the fist, wrap the fist, and then give yourself a stretch. And do that and hold that for a little while. Of course, this is stretching your extensor muscles here. So you're getting this side of the forearm. And then when you stretch the other way, right, you're getting this side. In yoga, we do several things that help support opening the wrist. One of them, which is to literally take the hand, now this is going to be tough for a lot of people, and try to put it under and up into the armpit best you can. And just by resting it there, ooh, already getting a very intense stretch. And then to increase the stretch, you reach over, you grab that elbow and you pull it forward. Now, this is something that you just have to use your breath work on. Inhale and exhale. Relax into it and attempt to use that stretch reflex action. Go to an area that feels like, oh, I'm at my max. Then take a breath in, relax. Give it about 6 to 10 seconds, then see if you can pull it just a slight deeper. Pulling a little deeper. Then you can rest, give it a break. And if you've got carpal tunnel and you've got stiff muscles in your forearm, and you don't have to have carpal tunnel, you could just be someone who uses your arms a lot. This is a great prevention for that to not have to experience that feeling. Another great thing is to, of course, stretch out those forearms like this. Put the arms down, right? Already getting a gnarly stretch, and this is of course going to help you as we progress into this practice to be able to do poses like peacock. But just resting the arms with those fingers back and doing this is going to get huge stretch. And of course, use your breath. Just inhale, slowly concentrate, mindfulness, exhale. And do your best to open up and open up. And after you stretch them out, rub some salve on it, do some hot and cold therapy, but you have to do this diligently. You were diligent at causing carpal tunnel because you spent probably an hour or two or more doing some sort of repetitive behavior. So now do the repetitive behavior to reverse that. Unless, of course, you love living with the pain. But this is really what's going to help teach us to love our body and to care for our body a little more each day. I really got to get some lighting on this on days like today, huh? Okay, so I'll have to pick up some lighting. It's a little dark. But that's what we need to do. And again, take a breath in. Exhale, see if you can deepen it. Now eventually we get those knees out to the side and we start bending the elbows in. Literally resting those elbows into our abdominal, into the ribs. Release. So these are the things you need to do to get over those stiff arms and carpal tunnel syndrome. Remember, we have to spend as much time caring for our body as we do abusing our body or torturing it. We have to use the techniques of yoga to open ourselves up so the activities we do outside, no matter what it is, bicycling, running, mountain climbing, motorcycle riding, whatever it is, it makes those activities so much more useful and fun because we're able to use more of our body. So anytime you can do something to stretch this way, stretch that way, massage, and I don't mess around with the massage. I do like to strip nicely. Start slow, stripping. You can go deeper. Of course, with trigger point therapy, as you move up the arm, if you feel a spot that's just like I'm not increasing the pressure, but I get to a certain area and it just seems to send a shock wave, that's usually a trigger point. And that's when you just kind of want to stay there and hold that until it dissipates a little. And sometimes it doesn't dissipate. I've had trigger points that just seem to be activated constantly. But you need to work it. You need to work the forearm. You need to work hot and cold therapy. You need to use your ointments. You need to love your arm. These arms do so much for us. So let's take the time to really care for the arms. And it's kind of basic, but it works, but you have to give it the time. You have to give your body the time. You have to give your body the time to love it. Again, I've worked with probably over 10,000 different bodies with all sorts of ailments, and it literally is just putting in the time to allow your body to do its thing, to regenerate. You got to talk to it. You have to let it know how much you love it, how much you need it, how much you want to develop your body. And that's it. So we're not going to do any breathing exercise. I just wanted to go over that little issue of carpal tunnel and what to do. So do your best, care for your body, take the time. Your body is there to help, to be with you, to help you, to allow you to experience a fabulous life. So love it, care for it, communicate with it, and be with it, and enjoy yourself. So that's it for today, folks. I hope you enjoyed that. And if you do have carpal tunnel syndrome, take care of yourself. All right. Till next time, y'all, I'll see you for another episode of The Body Regenerated. From Hawaii, this is Dougie.
Aloha.